Thank you. Have you ever felt stuck and frustrated in your career or in your life, asking yourself, why I'm not moving forward? When I graduated from the university, I got myself a really good job, a fantastic job, in the financial market in the city of London. I had to work really hard, perhaps twice as hard as everyone else, to progress, because I was born in Iran, I grew up there, and as you know, we might have a comprehensive nuclear program in Iran, but not a great financial industry as such. However, that effort and my first career enabled me to climb the corporate ladder very quickly. After a few years, I had a very good salary, great bonuses, and I had everything that usually defines a happy person. But when it got to my mid-30s, once the novelty of the new job and money worn off, it was replaced by monotony and lack of progress. I wasn't being promoted, I wasn't progressing, I wasn't really motivated. I felt like I'm on this treadmill, that I'm running really hard without moving forward. I wasn't making a difference, therefore, I wasn't happy. Deep down, I knew why I wasn't happy. Because I was a risk analyst, and I like risk, as you will see in my career. Analysis wasn't something that I was made for. Instead, what I was growing increasingly attracted to was so risky, dreamy, and unachievable that I wasn't willing to share it with anyone. People would go and say, you're out of your mind, you're mad. I wanted to become an explorer and make adventure television programs. I was spending all my time dreaming about it, thinking about it, reading explorers' book, watching television. I was doing everything but exploring and making TV. My dreams were my biggest demons. They were so big that they overwhelmed and paralyzed me. I was constantly thinking of big expeditions and massive television crews, while my biggest outdoor experience was limited to 2 days camping at a festival. Ridiculous. One day, I was walking towards my office, really frustrated and angry, really disappointed. I was over London Bridge. It was a really grey and a misty November day. It was really cold. I stopped for a second, and I decided to stop thinking about my big dreams and start doing something small. I knew no matter how small it would be still better than doing nothing. I knew how I could cycle. That's the only thing I could possibly do. On that very November, I decided to open my front door, get on my bicycle, and cycle. I started small, and gradually I started becoming stronger and stronger. A morning ride turned to a full day ride. Combine those with camping, I could make a weekend away in the country. Little by little, I started to learn new skills, endurance, resilience, wild camping, wild cooking, and I started to gain some self-confidence and started building momentum to the level that I started to believe that I'm ready to take on a big journey. I started looking at different plans, and this place looked ideal. The Sahara Desert is as big as the United States, and it's covering most of North Africa. It's one of the harshest places for human survival. And I wanted to cross it with a bicycle. Well, I knew that I was a creature of comfort. I did 3 things. I went and talked to, in order not to pull out, basically, first of all, I went and talked to everyone about it. Then I teamed up with a charity to raise funds for them, and foolishly, I went and applied for the official Guinness World Record to do this as a world record. Anyhow, here is me, 6 months, after 6 months training in a Sahara desert, and I was living the dream. And my dream was absolutely horrible. I was keep falling off my bicycle. I was bruised and battered, tired and hungry and sunburned. As far as the eye could see was bare desert. It was hot. It was really hot. And life at 45 degrees is punishing, especially when you're trying to do such a demanding physical activity. I constantly had to protect myself against the sun because it was so strong. I couldn't fight the nature, so adaptation was the key. I was waking up dead early in the morning at 4 o'clock, cycle, and make sure wherever I am, I'm under the shade at 10 o'clock. Again, at 3 o'clock, I started cycling all the way through the night. However, with a bit of perseverance, finally, I got closer and closer to the end of my journey, and finally reached the end and smashed the Guinness World Record for crossing the Sahara Desert on a bicycle. Thank you. I was tough. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I had taken ownership. And struggling through those obstacles expanded my comfort zone and let me believe that I was not made for analysis, but I was made for undertaking. I got back to my normal life, and my life wasn't the same anymore. So I wanted more out of my life. At work, I started taking more responsibilities. I started putting myself up for projects that no one wanted to touch. Therefore, they find this idiot that he wants to take on this project. There you go. And I started executing them, just undertaking, executing them, and it was really satisfying. That ownership gave me satisfaction. So little by little, I developed this reputation for myself as an undertaker. My salary went up significantly, 2 promotions in 2 consecutive years, and life was great. I was so pleased that I actually started this journey of personal transformation. Moved away from an unmotivated employee to become a corporate entrepreneur. However, despite all of this success, I felt part of me was left in the Sahara Desert. And I was hungry to explore more. For the first time, I started to believe that I might have a chance at this, to make a career out of something I absolutely like. And this time I was ready to take on a bigger journey. I started looking at different plans, and it had to be something really big that enabled me to just basically shoot me to the level that I could sort of be out there and have something to offer, to be an adventurer. So I needed to go big. I looked at different plans, and I decided this time to cycle the length of the planet from north to south and put it on the map as a world record. It took me 2 years in the making, and during this process, a friend of mine, Stephen, decided to join me, and we decided to do this together. The last thing I did, I resigned my job in the city of London and called myself an adventurer. A job title that my mother, up until today, thinks that's another word for being unemployed. Up until today. Anyhow, we got to North Cap. This is the northernmost point in mainland Europe in the Arctic Circle. Adrenaline was pumping. We were really fresh and excited, ready to go. Started our journey. Got through Norway and Finland very quickly and entered Russia. Russia was a big country. It felt that we were pedaling so hard without getting anywhere. But in the grand scheme of things, things were going quite well. We were making progress, bang on time, everything was great. We entered Africa. We got through the Middle East and entered Africa. In Africa, things got more difficult. A tarmac road turned to a gravel road, and progression was more and more difficult. It was hard to find food and water, so we started to lose weight. I started in North Cap. I weigh 80 kilos, 85 kilos. By the time I was near the equator, I was 70 kilos, lost 15. We entered Ethiopia. Due to the lack of hygiene, we both caught stomach bug, and that led to a severe diarrhea. And we constantly had to jump behind the bushes. Well, good job there was bushes there. Can you imagine that would happen in the Sahara Desert? But northern Ethiopia is heavily populated, so finding a quiet patch was really difficult. So we get to a quiet patch, we look around and see no one's around, and we jump behind the bushes. All of a sudden, the entire village appeared out of nowhere and staring at us like this. It was really uncomfortable. We carried on. We entered Kenya. In Kenya, things got even more difficult because the stomach problem got worse and worse, and my stomach started to swell, and I started to look pregnant. So I had to get myself to the nearest clinic, where it didn't take long for the doctor to add to my food poisoning that I'm burning up with malaria. For 4 days, I was in that clinic that it was so basic that they were cleaning my wound with toilet paper. Keep on going was an only thing that I was thinking about, and stopping there was the worst feeling. On day 4, at 7 a.m., I received my last injection, and by 9 o'clock, I was on my bike pushing south. 2 days later, we entered the new desert. Progression became more and more difficult. It was 40 degrees temperature. It was tough going. My mind wanted to carry on, but my body couldn't keep up. I had nothing left in me. It was skin and bones. My malaria-ravaged body didn't have anything in it, no energy left in me. But I wanted to carry on. At some point, we ran out of water. For 2 hours, we were pedaling in this desert without water. It was a survival situation. At some point, I collapsed. My vision went blur, and I collapsed. I wish I was that kind of explorer, could stand here and say, I raised the occasion, my emergency plan snapped to action, and I picked myself up and carried on. But not this time. I was breaking down. I was thinking to myself, I've been on the road for the last 70 days, and I dealt with whatever barriers that came in front of me. But there is only so much a man can take. I had nothing left in me. But you know what? In my profession, it's quite tricky. You cannot call sick. You're in the middle of nowhere, and to get yourself out of that situation, there is only one way, and that is to move forward. So I told Stephen that let's get me to the next village, and from there I'm going to catch a lift to Nairobi and fly back home. As I got on my bike and started pedaling towards the next village, this was what happened. I was passing through the Samburu tribe territories, and the warriors saw me passing through the land, they got really excited and they decided to run alongside me. And they were so excited they'd never seen a cyclist passing through the land. They were excited, they were running, they were salivating, they believed in me. They gave me recognition of what I was doing matter. It was tough moments for me. And for a second I thought, this is absolutely amazing. Total strangers gave me such mental support. It's amazing how little encouragement from total strangers help you to move forward in difficult times. And I thought to myself, this might be difficult, but might worth persevering. But I couldn't stop thinking that Cape Town was still 3,500 miles away. And I really didn't have anything in me to get there. So then it occurred to me that despite I'm not going to be able to cycle 3,500 miles, but I'm pretty sure I can cycle 10 miles. 10 miles in a grand scheme of things, and the amount that we cycle, it wasn't a big distance. So why don't I cycle 10 miles, and once I got there, I make a decision whether to continue or abandon my journey. He got to the next village and finished the 10 miles, and I thought, ooh, that wasn't too bad. Maybe I can make this decision in the next village. So I got myself on a bike, got to the next village. When I got to the next village, I did exactly the same thing. And I played this mind game over and over until Table Mountain appeared in the distance. The end of Africa, the end of my journey. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. I was crying. I was pedaling towards to the finish line, and I was crying. In that moment, everything started to make sense. All those hardship, all those night riding, all those gravel riding, malaria, heat exhaustion, everything. As I was getting closer to the finish line, that lovely sandy beach in Cape Town, I was thinking to myself, the biggest lesson this very hard, very long expedition might be teaching me is that widely used cliché, dream big, is great, but it's only enough to ignite a passion. It's not enough to get you to the destination. It's all those important small steps that each day get you one step closer to the destination. I held true to that vision, showed up every day, and turned those pedals. Fast forward to a year later, life changed. I got a book deal. I finished producing my documentary, which was sold all over the world, was broadcasted. I got invited to speak to great audiences such as yourself. I started a production company which enabled me to travel all over the world producing amazing documentaries and meeting incredible people. These are great, and I don't downplay them. I'm actually really grateful about them. But it's not all about what I achieved. It's about what I learned achieving those. Struggling through and overcoming all those obstacles unleashed my creativity and trained my resilience and problem-solving muscles. The muscles that not only enabled me to progress in my adventure career, but also helped me to undertake and execute major projects in a corporate world and get satisfaction by executing them. I'm not standing here to say you have to climb mountains or cross desert or wrestle a caiman. In fact, I'm trying to discourage you to go anywhere near a caiman because it's bloody dangerous. I'm here to say, whatever you do, you won't be satisfied until you own it. Dream big, think small, and add venture to your life. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.